Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live session with Moja 2. My name is Maria, and today I'm so excited because I'm joined by two of our amazing sponsors. I will let them introduce themselves and maybe share with us how their journey with Moja 2 started.
Okay. I'm Mary Eckert, and our journey with Moja 2 actually started because one of the two founders of Moja 2 was our first neighbor here in Texas. And so we've known about Moja 2 ever since it got started. And we started initially just donating, some money several times a year, usually.
Mhm.
And then about, I guess it's a little over 5 years ago now, we actually started sponsoring individual students.
Mhm.
So we've been sponsoring two students all the way through high school. And one of them is now in her first year of a post-secondary school studying computer technology. And our other student just graduated high school in December, and he's waiting to hear if he got into university, which we assume he will because he did really well.
You did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started and how we ended up with actual individual students. So
Yeah. And how does it make you feel like you started sponsoring these students while they were in high school? And
Mhm.
right now, one of them is in university, the other one is joining. Like, how does that make you feel?
It's been a wonderful experience. I mean, it seems like on our side, all we did was give a little bit of money. I mean, well, it was money, but money they didn't have. And so I think I think we've made a big difference in their lives, certainly that they've been able to continue. And I think our perspective after seeing things on our trip, which I know you want to get to,
Yeah.
that's really enhanced that feeling for us.
I I just want to comment that we heard this. You changed our lives
Yeah.
from them and from other people. When we talked to other Kenyans, they said you've changed their lives. They wouldn't have had this
Mm.
opportunity. And we had a poignant talk with one of the drivers who had a
Mhm.
son who's doing well and wants to. You want to say?
Well, it's just that was after our trip with Moja 2, and we were taking a safari since we'd made the trip. But our driver on one of the safaris, I mentioned why we'd come in the first place, and it turns out he has a son who's been accepted to university, and he can't afford to send him. So,
So
Yeah.
we
yeah.
know it makes a big difference.
Hmm.
We
Mhm.
also know that the deliveries of food, bulk food
Right.
to the families and to the schools makes a big
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
And they told us.
Mhm.
So we not only did they tell us it's more than intellectual, we could see with
Hmm.
our own eyes and we could talk to people and see how they were doing and that the kids were being fed and that and the kids would say things like what really is very good is that we're being fed.
Well, I think Moshe too has a real like it's actually an emphasis on the total person in a way. I mean, it's education, yes, but it
Mhm.
also seeks to fill needs wherever they come. Be it medical, the food. Obviously, that was really important, especially during the pandemic. And all of those things. And I guess also, I mean, we contributed to other charities over the years, but this one because we actually knew the people and knew what they were doing when they got there. I mean, initially delivering the backpacks every year for the kids. And actually going there, it was very hands on, and it felt really good that you knew where your money was going, and that was really making a difference.
The other thing is the Mojave two people are wonderful. All of the paid people, the volunteer
Yeah.
people, the
Mhm.
kids.
And I want to add a special plug for that, actually, from our trip, because I really enjoyed getting to know a little bit about you and the rest of the staff there, that I think you're just all wonderful people. So I want to put that in.
Yeah. We also enjoyed like having you guys, and we have been talking like through the video calls. Now we got to
Yeah.
meet you face to face, which was so
Right.
amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously that with our students, being able to touch them as opposed to just saying hi on a screen,
Yeah.
it is a totally different experience, and getting to know them a little better, because I think that this is not a natural situation, even though we've done it so many times. And it's hard always to know what to say. I mean, I would say over the years, obviously, our young woman Prudence is a little bit older, and over the years she's gotten much better. I mean, she's got really colloquial English at some points, and she's great to talk to. And Benson's a little shyer, so quite shy actually. So being able to have like conversations that were sometimes down like this with him was still very good. Excuse me. So
Yeah.
and also just getting to, I mean, I think we're jumping around a little bit. I don't know if you had a more sequential thing you wanted us to talk about, but
No, I think we are doing great.
okay.
Yeah.
But so, for example, and being there in person and getting to see, for example, how curious Prudence really is about so many things, and things she does know that I wouldn't have necessarily thought that she did based on limited conversations before. So that was just great. And then of course, in terms of the visits, when we were there, making the visits to the individual homes, not only for, well, in our case with Benson's grandparents, but at least his grandmother, but seeing that places where the other some of the other sponsored students live, that was an amazing experience too. And that's, I mean, some of our way of seeing the difference that this can make in their lives, because it's really, I mean, given where we're coming from here, it's a much more limited experience they would have if they weren't able to go to school. So.
The other thing I'd comment how much Mojatu does with so little, really. It's each dollar, US dollar, seems to accomplish a great deal. Part of it is because you do things directly.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
waste time or money or food. You go right to the heart of the matter and take things directly. If you have to, you go right to the food we contributed. We went with Mojatu. We were in the vehicles, we'd go through we go to the supermarket and go pick up bulk food, and then
you got very good at that, by the way.
We did.
Yeah.
We were not. We were just kind of standing there, but the people doing it were. I mean, the only thing I did, I pushed a cart. I pushed a supermarket cart for about 1 minute, but that's. But that food, we delivered that food.
Yeah.
We saw it go to the school or to the village, to the family.
Yeah.
And they were very grateful. They told us this food will get us through for months.
Well, we don't know how long, but
we don't know. However
Yeah.
long it is, it's food they don't have to pay cash for, and they're able to survive. They're able to accomplish something.
Yeah. Even for me, I would say like the best part of the trip was going like to the students' home. Like it was so amazing to see them now meeting the sponsors.
Right.
It was so amazing. Especially I remember when we went to meet Benson's grandmother. It was so amazing.
I was being prepared for that, because one of the first pictures I had of Benson was with his grandmother, and I'm looking at what's in the background and I'm like, oh my goodness, and so to be able to actually meet her And also that was the thing is because I've said, I mean, Benson's a little reticent and he doesn't, but he was, like, I didn't get to take many pictures there because I was so concentrated on what Benson was showing me. And he was very proudly showing me where everything was in the little complex that they had, you know, where the animals were, where he stayed, where his grandfather stayed, the chair where a visitor might sit if they have one, you know, where he, and of course meeting his grandmother. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet his grandfather, but he was out with the cattle and I guess the goats or whatever. But Benson looked at me at one point because I had once asked him how long it takes him to get to Nairobi when they bring, you know, when he goes in for different things for Moja too, and he says it's like all day. Because I had looked up the distance once, and it said, you know, it's like so many hours. He says, "Well, maybe if you've got something express." But he looks at me. He said, "You see why it takes so long?" So, but yeah, and then I've been happy to see the pictures that the others took because I feel like they're just great portraits of his grandmother. I mean, that was just wonderful.
Let me note something that Moja 2 does things that on a normal charity or a normal big organization would not do. For example, if a kid needs dental work badly, you'll do something.
Right.
The other thing, but we also noted, or I noted, that when we went with that, well, most important example, Moja 2 thought, Kathy and others thought, well, these kids have never been to a nice restaurant.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was.
So she took about 25 of them
right.
to a restaurant.
It's a little chaotic, but
first time in their lives they'd been to a nice restaurant. It was a hallmark in their lives.
I was sitting between our two students, and it was because it was so noisy. It's like I'm explaining what's on the menu, but I had to do it twice because they couldn't hear me when I was talking to the other one. And they really didn't even know what was on the menu. You know, I mean, they recognized chicken. Benson ended up getting. And then, of course, Prudence was interested in like some of the herbs and stuff like that. So I ordered her something so she could try basil for the first time. And they recognized there was like a part of the menu had sushi on it. Well, they recognized sushi, but then when I explained what it was, I said, no, I didn't want it. So
also, they didn't know which fork to pick up, and different the etiquette and so on, which they learned there on the spot.
Or figured it out. I mean, it's not like
it's not that complicated,
and it was not that formal. So,
but we take it for granted, and this is very expensive for them, and something they had never done before.
The other thing was, of course, one of the experiences we had with them because we were there early. We went to the giraffe center, and they may live in a country with giraffes, but they had never fed giraffes. So they actually both loved that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But go on, Marcus.
I was going to say Kenya. There are a lot of things that Kenya does for cash to that, and the foreigners. It's really sold to foreigners, not sold to Kenya, not for Kenyan, and that includes feeding the giraffes.
Right. Yeah. It's for the tourist more.
So the place where that's done is expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not something they would be able to afford. But Moja 2 took them there with us, or we took them there.
Yeah.
But many of these are unique experiences for them.
I mean, that was one of the obviously great thing about being there was being able to do those kinds of things with them. and kind of learning. We went to, I'm not going to remember the name of it. It's the place that has different tribal communities set up. I can't think of the word. It means homestead or something is the Swahili word.
It's like
Bumba.
Village Mwamba.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so that was what Leonard had suggested we go to. Well, it turns out the students joined. We had gotten there a little bit earlier, so we had done a bit of the tour, but we were at the village that was set up that actually represented the tribe that both of them are from. And they had never seen that before, although Prudence knew that her last name came from a tradition in that thing. So we got to hear that, which I never heard before, which was terrific. But that was something they'd never seen either. I mean, Prudence, she's pretty much grown up in Nairobi, so she certainly hasn't been outside. And Benson's been way out, kind of really isolated, except that he could walk to this primary school, which was great for him because that was his contact and, ended up being what has helped him get through, I think, so.
Yeah. And you have mentioned about like his primary school. I don't know if you guys remember, we went there and we saw the computer lab.
Yes.
How was the experience like seeing the students?
Oh, that was great. Well, first of all, we've got some great pictures because of Marcus there, because there were all these students still trying to look in, and Marcus is looking like that. But what was great there, I think they'd only had their computers like 2 weeks or something like that. And the kids are there. You hear a pin drop in there because they're studying so carefully, doing the little exercises I remember doing when I was learning to type, on the home row, getting that up. And they were just so intent on it. It was really wonderful to see.
A lot of things we take for granted, they can't take for granted.
Yeah.
And there's a problem we have motivating students, and you don't seem to have that problem.
Well,
so much.
I'm sure there are, but for the most part, I think, especially the students that Moja 2 accepts and tries to mentor through are going to have a higher success rate than some of the others, which is good too.
But the other thing is we have a lot of second chances in the United States.
True. Yeah.
My impression is you don't have a lot of second chances. Basically, this is your chance to have a better life, and you might not get another.
I mean, that's probably a little broad, but
is that is that too? Will you tell me, is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, it's just it's sort of like our impression, but obviously it's we know enough statistics to know our impressions don't necessarily generalize all the time. But yeah. So no, the other thing is because the computers are at the primary school level, which is a real leg up. As they go on through. So yeah, we're really. I think that was a great move on Moja 2's part to think about that, because it is a way of reaching even more students. Yeah. Doing the one-on-one is great for the individuals involved, but it's hard to like scale that up to do enough. And yet you want to make a difference in people's lives, and clearly the computer skills are important. So
yeah. And I would say, like, right now we have like 6 computer labs, and we are serving like 2,400 students are receiving computer classes every month.
Yeah, that's terrific.
And Moja 2 is trying to expand this, so we want to have more computer labs so that we can help more students. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. We're up on that one. And it's amazing because being there, I mean, Kenya obviously if you're in Nairobi, you see, like sort of the modern part of the city.
Mhm.
Even where we were staying, which was in a suburb when we were in Nairobi, once you get out of the main city, things, even if it's in a fairly, well-to-do area, things are not what we would say we see in the
Yeah.
States. So,
Mhm.
but there's still this like contrast because you do have like that development, and then you still have people living way out in villages that really have no infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I heard Kathy Kempf talk about the requirements for a school to get a computer. And obviously,
Yeah.
having been to some of the schools, one of them is that you have windows in the room that you're going to put the computers in, and electricity. And that's not necessarily true still throughout the country. So it's there's a long way to go, a lot of need there. So
Yeah. And we are happy because we have sponsors like you are making it possible for us to reach more of those schools.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, we're big on Moja too, I'd say.
Mhm.
Um,
And maybe now reflecting on your sponsorship journey, apart like from the trip that you came in Kenya, what would you say is one or two of your favorite or favorable moments while maybe interacting with your students or maybe their sponsors?
okay, we have a landline yet, so that's ringing. Just let's see, get rid of that. Oh man, let's see. Picking
Hello.
one.
Yes, hold on. I have to.
It was actually one he had to take. I can't believe it. Let me think. It's really hard. Obviously, one of the favorite things was actually just having the students meet us at the airport.
Yeah. I think I can remind you one when you won the award at the gala
Yes.
last year.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, that was special. I didn't expect that at all. I might have put some lipstick on after I finished eating for the picture. Yeah, no, that was really special because that meant that I guess the students have been saying nice things about me, which was very, very, it's not something I expected. So that was very sweet. That was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Maybe to give our viewers a little background is during our gala last year, Mary was awarded the Sponsor of the Year award, and she really deserved that award because she has always been volunteering with Moja 2, always there talking with her student, and we were so happy to see you getting that award.
Oh, thank you. No, that was special. That was and a total surprise.
Sorry, that was my doctor called with an appointment.
No
And
worries.
one thing about being an American is when the doctor finally gets back to you from your office, you have to take the call.
Yeah, no, that award was special. And I there was another woman on our trip that also got it. I mean, two
Davy.
with Debbie.
Yeah.
So, and seeing her with her students on the trip was amazing too. She had one of them. They seemed to had really big family. So it was like a lot of people around.
I have to tell you, I bragged about Mary getting that award to my family. I told all of them. All my friends. I embarrassed her so much.
One thing, the other thing is I realized over the years, Prudence has always been very nice in her letters to say, wish well to my family, to our family.
Yeah.
And we kind of married later in life, so we don't have our own children, which is another thing which I think we get a lot out of being able to sponsor some children. But I realized I had never said anything really to my family about the students too much. I mean, they kind of knew that we did something. So I decided when I had the picture of getting the award. So I sent that to my family and said, and this is by way of saying that Prudence wishes you a Merry Christmas. Got to know that as well. So,
Yeah.
but, and having talked to other sponsors and stuff, I guess what that's making me also think of is that it's not just the physical living situation of where people are living, but also the family situations are not always that great.
Yeah.
Even if there's a parent in the picture, they may not be able to take care of the child. So like at Dream, I know there are children there who have relatives, but I mean, they're not all orphans, but they are unable to even do the basics for their children. So that's a real impact of seeing all that and knowing that it's really been a really
That's
moving
right. That's
experience.
definitely
Yeah.
True. And we have all the human problems in the United States, but the basic prosperity level's higher. So people are better able to work things out when there's more money in the system.
For the most part. I mean, obviously.
Better able, but not,
yeah.
That doesn't mean they do. And it doesn't mean we don't have all these social problems in the U.S., but it takes a different frame as in a developing country. I was struck, by Kenya is in many ways, Kenya is quite modern. And for example, it clearly has many people who know how to fix a car and who know how to, and it has cell phones and cell phone service, but probably better than our cell phone
It
service.
was actually pretty good.
But so there's a mix. It's a very mixed experience and society.
Well, cell phones actually have been a boon in a lot of developing countries because you don't have to put in the lines for the service. You can use a satellite. So that really allows it to spread. And that's actually quite an interesting sidebar on the different pace at which different technologies can come up or infrastructure can get going. So you've got people in the middle of nowhere really who can be on a cell phone and talk to somebody or do something. So once they get that, but I'm sure there are gaps in service though too. Yeah, but we're looking forward to. I mean, obviously we have Prudence, who's seen. The other thing is, it's been interesting for us to hear her experience now being in college. I want to I'll pick that up as another special thing. The last term was her first term, and she was taking a course in logistics, which she said she'd never even heard of in high school. And so I think she was a little fascinated about that. This term, she's was having a little trouble with accounting, but last we knew she'd worked that out. She's in a study group and seems to be doing okay. And she's discovered that her favorite subject is economics.
Wow.
That's interesting. And then in the letter, which I just got when I picked up stuff that the other day, it was actually written before we went there. And had I known in advance, I would have asked her about this. She's taking a wellness course. And in that course, one of the things she's taking away from it is the importance of speaking up. And I think that's a great thing for her to know.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think Moja too already does some of this.
Yeah.
But I think it is very speech courses are very speech and basically how to talk, communication, how to talk in public, how to give
and standing up for yourself in general. Which I mean, I was privy to the discussion that Moja too gave to the university young women, when we were there, and that's obviously where the local staff really came and shined and really gave them your stories, in a way. And I think that was really powerful for the students to hear and see the success that can bring and what you have to do to get there. So
yeah, because we have like the mentorship program. which helps like students who are joining university and also those who are continuing, because now in university it's a different thing from high
I
school.
know. Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, obviously, I know Prudence was a little, took her a while to get her, to get going with that. And I
Yes.
know it's going to be a big deal for Benson.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
it's also going to be going to the big, have to deal with Nairobi at the same time on his own. So that's going to be a big, big change for him. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this conversation was so amazing. It was so amazing to catch up with you guys and reminisce about our trip.
Yeah, it was a great trip.
Yeah. Maybe what can you share with someone who maybe wants to become a sponsor? What can you share with them?
I would say that if you're looking for something to use your charity money on, that you will get a great bang for your buck. Supporting Moja 2 and everything that it does. It seems to have a really good sense of balance in terms of being able to know what you can do and what the limits of that are, but to keep like this personal connection and keeping the administrative costs down by the personal intervention. But of course, that means it probably can't grow to a certain extent beyond certain limits.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where doing the computer lab is very important. And if people just even gave to that, it would make a huge difference.
At first, we started out just giving
Right.
small contributions and going to the annual event, and we kick in some money here or there. But then finally we said, why don't we sponsor one? And then after that,
we sponsored a
we
second.
sponsored a second, and it was very fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's a memorable visiting. We have been all over the world. I mean, we've been
lucky
to
to travel.
30 different
Plus, yeah.
countries. Is that right?
Yeah.
Something more. But the trip to Kenya was our most interesting in many ways because of the people
Right.
that we met and because
Of the personal connections. Yeah.
and Moja 2 took us out to meet them and see the villages and see the schools and talk to people I'll tell you a little sidelight that after we got back, we had another trip scheduled. We went
that was been scheduled before we knew we were going to Kenya.
and so we went to France, but we only went to Lyon. And Lyon's not as big as Paris, and it's a city known for its cuisine. It's very, very nice. We had this wonderful 2 weeks of luxury. And it was wonderful, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, but the experience in Kenya was more wonderful.
The imprint of that is very, going to be with us for a long time. So, and as I say, for new sponsors, I mean, or even existing sponsors, if they can find a way to make the trip at some point, it's really worth it. It really is.
I wish I were younger because I would go, well, not for all reasons, because there are some things that are better when you're later in life. But I know that I probably will not be able to fly to Kenya again. Mary's younger. She may be able to. But but if I'd done this when I was 40 or 30, then I'd be able to go again. And so particularly any potential sponsors, if you're younger than me, which is easy, try to do this while you can and while you have some time and maybe you don't have much time, but try to do it.
Yeah. It was so amazing to have you guys. Like creating those memories is what matters. Like even when you remember about the trip, you only remember about the memories, meeting the people. So it was so amazing to have you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just so glad we were able to do it. So,
Mhm.
and actually meet those two students. Well, and all the others, but obviously in particular the two of them. So,
Should we tell about the tour we had of the museum?
oh yeah, okay, that's a nice way to end actually.
Yeah, we can end it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had another. We went off and did some game viewing. So lots of animals, which was wonderful. But we had another 2 nights, I guess, in Nairobi before our flight back home.
Mhm.
So we went to the museum in Nairobi, and who gave us a tour, but a Moja 2 graduate, and he was fabulous. He was absolutely fabulous, Morris, and
Mhm.
uh, we were
He knew so much.
He knew so much. He was able to, and he had to do it on various things. It was historical. It was basically biological evolution, plus some political stuff, plus the animals. He knew it all, and he didn't miss a
in
beat.
a very nice way explained
Yeah.
everything.
So
answered our questions.
So he was, he was like, and he was one of the people too, because he said what a difference Moja 2 had made in his life.
Yeah.
And clearly, we hope he does really well, because he seems like he's got it together.
Yeah, you see, now this is the impact that you are making. Like these students are now, like even me, I'm a product of this impact, because right now I'm working. We have Morris and more of our alumni. So we really thank you for the good job that you are doing. And thank you so much for joining us on this live session. It was so amazing to catch up with you guys.
Well, and thank you for the work you do right in Kenya. We appreciate that.
Definitely.
Having the good staff there makes a big difference too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, guys. See you on our next session.
Okay, Maria. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.